Sorry, what?
Hello, Yelach.
Hello, Diego. How are you today?
I'm fine, and you? How are you?
I'm fine too. So, how was your day?
Nice, nice. It was full of work, a lot of work, but I just finished it. I'm a little
Mhm.
bit tired,
Me
but
as well.
I just eat a little.
But our
uh,
soul is not tired.
yeah. And you? How's your day?
It was good. Learned something new. So it was perfect.
So, what's the topic?
Today we can talk about soul and its existence because many people think that science should have this burden to prove the soul, and if it is not proved by the science, it should not be expected. It should not be accepted. So we can have some conversations about science functioning because we both are studying physics, so we can understand what thing can be explained based on scientific methodology and what thing cannot be explained based on scientific methodology.
Yeah, perfect. So, what is the, for example, when I think in soul, I used to think in belong. In
You to think
something
what
something that belong, that,
belong.
yeah, be, that because um, for example, what's a what what thing keep across the time, across everything. For example, um,
I
when
understand
you
your point. Yes.
when you have this is I think this is not a good example, but I think it's a modern example. When you have a
Okay.
cell phone, okay,
Okay.
your cell phone, you start to use it and you save some contacts and you send message, you download WhatsApp, some apps, you, and in some points you change your cell phone, but some things keep in the cell phone, and
Mhm.
and you can still use your cell phone, and you understand the information of that cell phone, and it's not the same that the that information for another person. So in certain way, for example, for us, for a person, when you, if you have an accident and you lose your arm, for example, and you change your arm for a robotic arm,
Okay.
and you change different part of your body for robotic part, uh, uh, what thing belong, like keep in the time. For me, that is the idea of soul. That is
Mhm.
why I think, for me, I think there is no soul, because I think that there is a kind of uh, maybe it's an interpretation, but when I think in the idea that something keeps, I think is not uh, too rational to understand to me. So maybe you have some point of view that is uh,
Mhm.
different or interesting around this point.
Yeah, well, soul is just a name, right? Well,
Right.
let first understand or try to make some conversation about the language, because we are using something subjective. We are using a language to explain something subjective, right?
Right.
Language is limited. Somebody told me, well, it's again about interpretation. So interpretation depends on your language, right? So I heard a quote, I heard some phrase that says language produce reality. So I asked different people, what does that mean? How they interpret it. So, for example, if I ask you, how do you interpret this phrase, the ancient phrase that language generate reality? What is your interpretation of this phrase?
For me, yeah, it's like um, when you it's something like when you say something, when you express something, that is what is happening, what is going on in some system, in some place. For example, if I start to say, in certain way, for example, if I start to say uh, I'm very lonely, I'm very lonely, I'm very lonely, probably I will uh, turn in a lonely person, because my way to express about myself, it will create an reality about myself. That is.
Exactly.
Mm.
So the idea of language is to express the reality, not to create the reality. You are expressing what you are feeling. For example, you feel hungry first, then you say you are hungry. Opposite is not true. Because you say you are hungry, that's why you don't feel hungry. You're getting my point? You feel lonely, that's why you are expressing it that you are lonely. Because you are expressing it, you are lonely, you don't, because of that, you don't feel lonely. You're getting my point?
Mm.
First, you feel it, then you express it. So the reality that you are feeling, it is already there. The language is just to express it. Now,
Mm.
coming back to the topic of soul, soul is something which you can, it's not about just making a systematic logical argument, or also to prove scientifically or something. Well, the problem is that we mix things. Sometimes I realize that science is a new kind of religion. people people are making science as a religion. So
Yeah.
in my point of view, when you say interpretation, different people feel something and then they give some interpretation, right?
Right.
In order to feel something, feeling is subjective, right? Feeling is not objective thing, and science is pure objective.
Exactly. Yeah.
It's not that you cannot understand the feeling of anger unless you don't feel anger, if you unless you don't have that feeling inside you.
But for example, if you put three person, and you show them some situation, and you ask them, okay, you feel happy or you feel angry about this situation. Maybe some of them can feel happy, and maybe some of them can feel very angry. But
Angry.
in science, it's not like that, because all the people
Exactly.
is the same answer.
All the people reach the similar conclusions
Yeah.
based on the same experiments. So this is very important. When science at this moment, science talks about objective experiments. You have an object and you study the object. In the case of soul, we have to understand that soul is something which is not objective. It's not something you can probe by some scientific tools. You're getting my point? So it's not that um, you cannot tell somebody, oh, this is soul. Look at there, this is soul. No, you cannot say that. But you can say this like this. Oh, look, this is rocket, for example. You or this is some object which is flying, or this bus is moving because of certain physics law. But with
Mm.
science, with soul, it's not like that. So the idea is to prove or disprove. At first, one has to understand, or one has to look what is it. Proving or disproving without knowing it, how will you? I mean, you have to make some hypothesis. You have to make some kinds of assumptions. So when you say soul, at first one has to understand the characteristics, what soul means, how it is defined. Hello, Diego,
Estoy aquí.
your video is freezing.
No, sí, yes. Hello, I'm
Okay,
here.
yeah, I can see your soul. Well, I don't know much about Catholicism. How in Christian religion people believe that for how long soul exists and if soul exists or not.
Yeah, I'm not completely sure, but I think that when people born, the soul born. That is the same moment. It's something similar. So when people die, the soul go to the heaven and live there. That is the concept. I think something like that. From
Really?
yeah.
Okay.
No, but I think it's you, I am trying to explain it in a in a very basic way. Because I don't know what soul is. I don't know for I think for Catholicism, I don't know. I know that for the most of the religion, the existence of soul is a must. Is and that is very interesting. That is very interesting. That why is so necessarily this concept or this I don't know this point of view, this uh,
Okay, tell me one thing. In the universe, law exists and we interpret them, right?
law. Okay.
Exist and we interpret them. We understand them. Because we interpret them in particular way, that's why those law exist? No.
No.
It's the same with, yes, because for
Yeah.
example, the law of gravity, it exists
Yeah,
in
yeah,
its
yeah.
way. We just look at it and we understand the way it is. It is not that because we understand in that way, that's why it exists in that way. No. Heisenberg principle of uncertainty is there. That's why Heisenberg could interpret in that way. The
Mm.
law, it's not there because Heisenberg interpret in that way. You're getting my point? Opposite is not true.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. I'm getting your point. Yeah.
Yes. It's the same thing with the soul. It's not because religion says there is a soul, there exists a soul. No, it's not like that. There is something that people call it in different name that exists. For example, in English it is soul, in Hindi it is atma, in Spanish it is alma, Christianity is free will, various names. In different languages, different name. So it exists, something exists. That's why people interpret in that way.
Mm.
You're getting my point? It's
Yeah.
not that because some religion interpret, that's why it exists. No, it's not like that. Something, not only one, a lot of people have realized it. A lot of people have experienced it. Some people didn't. Okay. I can imagine some people do not realize that soul exists or something which is
But
which has
how people realize that soul
okay. That
exists?
is the interesting point. That is the point that one has to understand. So, have you seen electron?
No.
How do you know it exists?
Because I interact with them.
But you don't know if it is electron or something else. You interact with
Ah,
what?
no,
How
yeah,
how can you interact with electron?
yeah. It's part of a complete theory, I think, in which I don't know. I think you can that electron exists because there is an experiment in which the people size the in which the people can evidence the existence of the electron. I don't know
Really?
what is the exactly method, but I think that
Yes,
uh,
but the point is people have no photo of electron. We don't know how electron looks like.
no, no, not
But what we know,
not a particle like electron. No, it's not like
we know charge and mass. And charge
yeah.
and mass are the characteristics of the electron. So what was the important thing? The important thing was not just the name, like soul or like alma or like atma or whatever you call it. The important thing was the characteristic, and then you put the name.
Yeah.
So you are realizing, you are experimenting the characteristic of something. After that, you are putting certain name, right?
Mhm.
So at first, we have to understand why people realize that there exists soul. Well, people say, okay, soul must have these. If there exists something, some energy, some soul, alma, whatever you want to call it, it must have these characteristics.
Yeah.
And many people, not many, I think all of the people, or not all of the people, all of the living things, they realize those things. For example, consciousness is one part of the soul, is one characteristic of the soul. Like mass of the electron is the characteristic of the electron, consciousness is the characteristic of the living thing, of the soul.
Okay. I'm getting your point. Yeah. I think.
wisdom Wisdom is the characteristic of the soul.
What? Sorry, the second one. We.
Wisdom, knowledge, power to know,
Mm.
or capacity to know, or
Yeah.
capacity
Yeah.
to know everything, capacity to exist forever.
Mm.
And that's
Yeah.
something related to law of thermodynamics, law of energy. Well, I'm not saying that soul is an energy or equivalent to energy the same way as we understand. We,
But
we
okay.
even don't understand.
But in this okay. For example, the consciousness is a
Is one of the characteristics.
If one of the characteristics of the soul and the capacity of knowledge, you can learn is
Not
with
only
the
learn the wisdom,
no, yeah, what the
wisdom,
yeah
wisdom and no, and information. They are two different things. I mean,
mm.
please tell me. You wanted to say something.
No, I okay, okay. Okay, okay. I think I lose a little bit the idea, but it was like
You were
okay,
at
in this if we have the consciousness and wisdom, the characteristic of the soul, but okay, I know that this is an evidence in certain way. It's like mass and the charge of the electron, but okay, I can uh, create an experiment for size the mass and size the electron. And what is this experiment? How you can experience the uh, this characteristic, these two
of electron,
characteristics. No, of soul.
of soul.
Yeah.
Well, you are conscious. You respond to the outer world or no? You respond to your thoughts.
But
Only
for
you can
example,
know because it is subjective.
if you are when you are not consciousness, you lose your soul.
No, you lose one characteristic. For example, electron is wave and particle at the same time. So when you look at the wave, you don't see the electron as a particle, or for photon you don't. It's not possible to see both characteristic at the same time, or the both of the behavior at the same time. So
And
when you are unconscious, you don't lose the soul. You just lose one characteristic of the soul. The soul is still there in your body. So consciousness is again coming to the point, is having a meaning when the soul and body are together. People are confused soul with something like ghost. Ghost is another body. Ghost is not a soul. Pure soul has no body. It's different thing. You're getting my point? Consciousness is the property of soul when the soul is along with or together with the body. A dead person does not have any characteristic of the soul.
when it's not okay, you say when but you say that the soul can be in a body and not in a body, and how you
No,
can
no, I'm
define.
saying if soul, if if soul is out of your body, the person is dead. So the soul is living in a body, which is, it's like this. You have some clothes and you change the clothes. So soul is like you and cloth is like body. You're
Yeah,
getting
yeah.
my point?
But
So
how you define the clothes? I mean, for example, the soul. You can have a soul uh, I don't know, in my cell phone, in a
no,
maybe
no,
in
no,
a
no, no, no.
bag. Why not?
I'm
In
saying
which
again,
what is the point?
living thing and non-living things. When people did not have cell phone, soul exists. Living thing exists before cell phone. Cell phone is a new evolution. It's not so old. What about 500-year-old society? They had no cell phone. They had no other materialistic thing. But there were
They had
human beings.
soul.
There were animals. There were plants. So it's not. I'm not saying that. I'm saying you are conscious, and it is subjective. That's why only you can know it.
Hmm.
It's meaningless to say that soul exists, prove it. There is no meaning in proving the existence of soul. That's a stupid idea.
Yeah, but okay, the idea is they understand the characteristic of souls.
Exactly. And for that, there are different experiments. If you want to understand the electron or
How
electrochemical,
many characteristics?
there are many. Soul is multifaceted. Soul is material. Soul is non-material. Soul has the capacity to be a god. Soul has the capacity to know everything. Soul has the capacity to infinite bliss. Soul has a lot of things. Consciousness, and consciousness is more visible. The other things you cannot. The other thing you can only experience. For example, with the time you are knowing more, you are having more wisdom, you are more mature. Well, I'm using these words, but you feel it.
Mm.
It's not like robot that somebody feed in the mind of the robot. It's not like that.
Yeah, I think it's a very interesting point of view. Yeah.
So, man,
No, I'm just thinking about it.
the experiments. Well, to un-
Yeah.
to understand the electron, what we do, we create certain kind. We do charge by mass ratio, for example. To do that, you have to create a very high level of vacuum, right? You have to reach that level. Without that, it's not
Mm.
possible. Otherwise, there will be a lot of noise in your measurements. The experiment with soul are subjective, and
I
subjective
got it.
experiments means
Mm.
you have to do subjective experiments, not objective. For
Yeah.
example, what are the subjective experiments? Meditation, for example.
Yeah.
What is the what is the
I'm getting your point. For example, when you do some experiment in physics, if you want to size the the mass, and you try uh, to keep out all the another factors, another characteristic in
exact
this case.
exact
So it's the similar with soul for trying to experiment the characteristic of soul. The experiment, the idea of experiment is try to keep out all the other characteristics.
yes,
So
yes. So you have to reach a specific level in spirituality. That are the experiment to realize the existence of soul.
mm,
When you are able to realize that your thoughts are not you, if you can watch your thoughts as an observer, then you will realize there exists something beyond, which is not just this chemical or hormone thing.
mm. Yeah, I'm getting your point. Yes, I think it's very nice. I think it was a very nice talk about the existence of soul. Yeah, really. Because now I am thinking a lot of things.
Yes, it's the thinking process itself. I mean, when I
So
ask you,
that is why I know that now I know that I have soul.
yes, exactly. That's the point. When I'm asking you this question, do you have soul? At first, I have to ask myself, how did I get this question? Who put this question in my mind? And how I'm asking, how I'm conscious. Being conscious is just the property of body. Can you make a person alive, a dead person alive, by just putting some motor in that person's body? Now you can put any motor. You can make some pumping machine that can function like heart. You can use some neuroscientific network to function your brain, but you cannot put a person alive. That person is that person.
Mm,
Many
yeah.
people argue that if your brain is dead, you are dead, and there are plenty of cases when clinically person was dead, brain dead, and came back from the death. Yes, there are many. Yes, there are many. In
Yeah.
fact, scientifically, there are many cases which are still under active investigations that we don't know. Again, I'm saying consciousness is something that we don't know, and we cover up that thing that we don't know with the name consciousness, like dark matter or dark energy. Again, I'm saying we don't know that what the hell it is, but it is consciousness. Something is
Yeah,
there which is
but
consciousness
yeah,
that we don't know.
I'm getting your point. Yeah, perfect. Okay, yeah, let's. I think it was a very nice talk, but
Okay, man.
thank you very much.
See you. See you.
See you.